Welcome to Two Psychics. This is Michael Edley, evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Two Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
It's Mary Amy. It's Two Psychics Podcast, episode 96. Michael Edley was just in the green room and then he vanished. He's playing Mr. Invisible tonight. I said, oh my gosh, there he is. Let me turn it on. And here I am by myself. All right, everyone, he's going to join us. You know he will. He always does. So tonight is pretty exciting. We have two guests tonight. There he is. Where is Michael Edley? Add to the stage. Nope, he's still not in there. He'll be coming on. Anyway, we have two guests for episode 96. It is July 2nd. I'm coming from New York. I'm an intuitive wisdom coach, a Reiki master, an ordained minister. And we have Heather Besser, who's a medium. We have Jack Roth, who's an author and documentary filmmaker. And that's going to be exciting. We're going to talk about extraterrestrials. What is the weather like where you are? I'm in New York and it is, I guess it was today with the humidity, 110 degrees, go figure. But I went to see a movie today. So I was inside in the cold air, eating my popcorn with some family members, and we skipped the pool. We skipped the pool because I don't think he's there. Let me just see. I don't think so. Not yet. Not yet. So we'll wait for him to wait. He'll come on. We skipped the pool, maybe tomorrow. But everyone who knows me, I've been working on my book, and now I'm drawing the illustrations, which I'm super excited about. And I am drawing the illustrations of all kinds of extraterrestrials and otherworldly beings, and because I've been, I guess you could say, communicating, engaging, experiencing, encountering all kinds of otherworldly creatures since 2015. Let's see. Not letting me log on. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. I don't know what's going on here with him. And so I'm distracted now. I'm thinking, should I get off and get back on? I don't know what to do. And so my book, it's great. It's a great book. It's 11 chapters, and I'm going to have all my sleeping dreams listed that are pertaining to these otherworldly creatures. And I also give suggestions for healing, and I give all kinds of information about extraterrestrials and the paranormal and supernatural. And so these sketches and these drawings and these illustrations are going to be in the book. I'm thinking that the book's going to be available before the end of the summer, everyone. So there you go. All right, everyone, whoever's joining us, this is episode 96 on Michael Edley is not able to join us tonight right now because for some reason it's not letting him. I don't know what technological or technology issue he's having. You know, why we are waiting for him, let me just talk about a bit about what are extraterrestrials. So what are extraterrestrials? Well, they are beings that are not on this planet. They're from another world. They're not human. They're non-human biologics. And there's been a lot of controversy lately about the different species of extraterrestrials and how many species are there. And they've been telling us 4. And I saw a new movie that was released in the last few weeks, and there was only 2 that they had on there, which was gray aliens, and tall whites. But I can tell you, I'll give you some examples. Okay, so what are gray aliens? They look humanoid in their body. They have a large head and they're known for abductions. And they're of a gray color, like a whitish gray. It almost looks like a milky color. They have huge eyes, hardly a nose, hardly a mouth, and they don't communicate by speaking. They communicate by telepathically talking to you. So if you have an experience with an extraterrestrial, let's hope, cross our fingers. There's Michael. There he is. Thank you. Thank you. There's Michael. Yay!
Is the computer liking me right now?
Oh
The
my
computer
God,
would not. It wouldn't let me log on. So
right.
StreamYard did not like me for a little bit. It wanted you to ride solo on this one for the intro.
I was talking about
I have no idea. I just shut everything down. I started it back up, and here I am.
Should I start over? And then I said, no, it'll work out. So I really didn't get into the guests because I figure I'll wait till we're closer to the time. Why don't you share with us? I was talking about extraterrestrial species. And do you want to share with us what's new with you? How are you? I haven't seen you in over a week.
I am good. I am in the middle of this incredible heat wave here on the Jersey Shore, which I'm sure you're experiencing also, right? Up in New York.
I am.
I think we hit 100 today, 101 somewhere around there. So it's been a little. If you don't have AC or a swimming pool or you're near the ocean, I feel very bad for those people. Stay cool. And man, there's a large concert going on here in my town tonight, and I was waiting to see. I'm like, wow, are they gonna cancel it? Are people gonna just push through? And I guess we get a lot of tourists, a lot of people visiting. So I guess they're gonna tough it out. I'm glad I have air conditioning right now though. I am very appreciative, and when we think of things we should count our blessings, or things we should feel very good about, good energy. Well, air conditioning is definitely one of those in my energetic field, in my auric field. Air conditioning is a blessing.
Well, I'm sitting here with the air conditioning off because I was concerned that if I had that on, I live in a very old house. It's from 1855. And the wires, it looks like something I would do, which is not a compliment. And so they were flickering all day, the lights, when I was in and out today. And I said, I'm not going to push it. So I don't have any air on, but it's cool. It's not terrible right here. I have lights, but it's fine. And I think, for me, with the weather and the heat and the humidity, it's a mindset. So I don't think about it too much, or I just accept it. I think my body transitions into it, and I'm okay with it. I do believe that by the end of the weekend, I will be hitting a pool or a beach so that I cool off. But I actually, I don't want to complain because I really, really like this time of the year. I like the warm weather rather than the cold weather, so I'm happy about it. Question about your shirt. Is that your logo for your business?
Oh, you see that? Cool. Yes.
No, I love that. Everybody, look at that. And I'm just going to plug our t-shirts, which you can find on StreamYard, Spreadshop.
Yeah.
And that's what brand is that? Do you have those made?
I don't. This was a gift, so I am not totally sure. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah, someone actually liked my logo so much that they made this up for me, and and I was like, yeah, very, very, very cool. I'll have to look up again exactly who it was. It was one of the companies that I was going back and forth, and they wanted to use some of my music for some of the stuff they do. They do weird graphics and background and meditative. They use HemiSync, and they put it to like these different videos where it looks like you're going through like a tube and like all these 3D imaging. And so I was like, yeah, go ahead. And they liked it. They didn't use it yet, and they sent me a shirt. So I was like, cool.
Well, I like it.
So unfortunately, if you want one, I don't have them yet, but we do have two psychic stuff, right?
I know we do. I was going to say that, but you know what? You just gave me an idea. Hi, Deanna.
Oh, what's up, Deanna?
I got certified as an intuitive wisdom coach through her school, and then you know her because of
yeah, we have some mutual
the medium
connections. So Troy, she also
Troy.
knows Troy.
Yes.
Good friend of both of ours.
Yes.
Yeah, and Intuity. But yes, absolutely.
Interesting, right?
Awesome,
Small
Deanna.
world.
And
So
she's got, we're gonna have to get her back onto the show and talk about some of the stuff she's doing. We're friends on social media, and she's always has some cool thing, that she's starting up or creating. So
she's amazing. She's an amazing person and
so
holistic coach.
Let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up. Actually, if anyone wants to see us live, Pelham Rails, July 29th, Wednesday, July 29th. It is going to be a night of psychic ability demonstration, mediumship gallery, and you will be hanging with Mary and myself. We will be bringing 2 psychics to you live, and that is going to be a very fun night. Tickets are on sale now. You can go to any of our social media, and we will have a link, a number somewhere, some way, shape, or form that you can get that ticket or tickets and come hang out with us.
If you go to Eventbrite and you put in psychic events and you put Pelham, you put a Westchester town, you'll see our picture. And about the shirts, we have shirts with our logo, Two Psychics Podcast, our faces, but I'm thinking I'm going to take the logo and put it in there to have on shirts as well. So it's a psychic dinner night, dinner show. It's a 3-course dinner for $65. And if you get it on Eventbrite, I think it comes to $71. And it's in this amazing restaurant in Pelham, New York. And it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be interesting. We've done stage shows. We haven't done dinner shows. So we got this through the Elvis impersonator, Gene. And he has gotten a bunch of acts together and put them in dinner shows.
And he didn't have any psychic Elvis, so he said, you know what, let me bring in 2 psychics since I have a psychic Elvis. Now that's kind of cool though. Live entertainment, I don't think it matters whether it's like theater, restaurant, for people to experience, just psychic energy and see evidential mediumship firsthand. It's a really, really cool experience. I think having it in a restaurant makes it a little more low key, for everyone there. They can eat, be in the comfort of, friends, family. Some people, I think a lot of women need to drag their boyfriend or their husbands out to these things. So it puts it in a little better of an environment. Maybe they can have a glass of wine, a beer, whatever it may be in the restaurant, a little food, and experience what we do. But it's a really, really cool thing. I'm glad we're going to be able to bring it to Pelham Rails. It's going to be fun. I'm also in this area. If you're in the Jersey Shore, I'm part of a wellness event at Whole Body Wellness on the 19th. So Sunday the 19th, it's a whole day. You can go onto my Eye of the Spirits with Michael Edley on Facebook. Check that out if you are interested. I think there's a few tickets left for that. But yes, come check us out. Come hang out with us. And we are excited to be doing this live. I see we have some comments.
I'm going to say some comments, but I also want to say that after our guests, we're going to go through what upcoming, because we have 3 more guests this month.
Yes.
And I want to get into who the guests are and the comments. We have to talk. We have 10 minutes before they come on, or 12 minutes. So we have a lot to do right now. I'm going to say the comments. So Deanna.
I see Deanna Nagel. Yes, what is up?
She's like, Deanna says, hi there. Yes, please. It's not so, oh my God, mediumship normalizing. And then Suzanne, hi, Mary and Michael, staying cool, watching your show from Ride. Yay, everyone. Okay, so extraterrestrials. We're going to talk about that. What are extraterrestrials, everyone? We're getting a lot of disclosure lately. We've had 3 drops. We are having all kinds of hearings out of Washington. I don't know what they're going to amount to. They're having some of these not whistleblowers, but some of these experts allegedly head some of these new groups or organizations. So I'm going to say my I guess, perspective on what extraterrestrials are, or they are beings that are interdimensional. They're not from this third density, three-dimensional. They're from 4 up higher, unless of course it's reptilian, and they can exist here in this dimension. And there's thousands, I would say hundreds upon thousands of different species, because as many stars and planets there is possibly some kind of, or I guess, organic or living being. They're from off planet. They're a non-human biologic. And yes, there are civilizations. Is there signs of alien life? Have we already been contacted? Are they living in inner Earth? Are we under a dome? What kind of extraterrestrials? I'm just going to shoot a couple of things out, and then I'm going to give Michael the floor because we're going to have to introduce our guests. So, Greys, Arcturians, Nordics, tall whites, Anunnakis, Draconians, reptilians, blue avians, let's see, what else? Andromedans, Syrians, Venetians. What am I missing? There's so many.
Encyclopedia. You need the alien encyclopedia. I know one of our guests created. I know.
I do. I have it.
I forget.
I can't say everybody.
Was that Jack? Was that Jack who was working on that? Who was that?
No,
was that?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was Craig.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was Craig. Yes. I was fascinated by that. I thought that was a really cool thing. The compendium of alien species.
Yeah, it's somewhere here. I don't know. It's with
no, that's all good. But what I find fascinating right now, not only are they trying to normalize alien contact, I think they're trying to alienize the fact that everything, is demons. And we're seeing this weird blend of, from the religious community that, they're not aliens. It's demons, and demons that have infiltrated and been here through ages and through the millennia. So it's a really weird divide and a real weird. It's almost like everyone's just grasping right now to try to confuse or manipulate the narrative of what's going on, because no one wants anyone to really know what's happening. So we're disclosing and we're releasing supposedly more information than we ever have. But I almost feel there's like a double talk, and we're seeing like this dual narrative where we're releasing it, but we want to make things more confusing. And we want certain people to go, wow, they're releasing this because it's been there all along, or we want to lead, everyone on this certain direction. So we're going to commercialize and sensationalize this aspect of it while we're trying to manipulate something over here in the background. So that's my question. Like, what else is going on? What are they hiding here? Or what side of this are we not being told that this is pulling our attention to, so something else can slip by? There's always something like that going on. So that's kind of where I'm looking at this. I do believe demons and aliens and humans and the physical realm and the divine spiritual realm, I believe it can all exist. I believe it's all there. I do believe, like for me, for my own experiences, I do believe aliens and demons are separate. Can they inhabit the same energetic mode of transportation, or can it be perceived the same? Sure, most likely, but are they the same thing? For me, I don't believe that from my own experiences and what I've had as my own reality, what I've seen, what I've experienced as a medium, other stories that I've heard from people that were very close to me that have had certain encounters or certain experiences. So my aspect of what they're releasing for the demon, the demon alien thing, I don't believe it's the same. What do you think on that?
Well, just like everything that we have going on here in this three-dimensional, this third density, it's all about control.
Yeah.
Enslaving our minds that this is the only way it can be. And don't think too much about yourself and your heart and your consciousness, and don't become too aware. And we're going to run things for you. So to me, it's definitely what you said, which is that they are instructing people on how to release this
Mhm.
and control it so that they can stay in control and they can tell us what it is. But the problem with that is no one's really going to cooperate. I don't think that the extraterrestrials are not going to cooperate. They're going to do whatever they want. And then all of the humans that have had some kind of contact, experience, encounter, abduction, whistleblowers, they're not going to cooperate either. So they can do that all they want. But the extraterrestrials' abilities to handle technology and how we've taken their technology and reverse engineered it shows us that we are not in a place of power with them.
Yeah.
They can turn off and on nuclear bases. They can do things that we can't do. They can pop in, walk through walls. They can give your mind some kind of thought. They can wipe your brain of an experience. So we don't really, it's kind of a lot of unknown. Like, it's kind of funny to me when they have what you just said, which is how they're exploring it with humans. But, you know, like, I'm just letting it go. I'm just doing my own thing because the truth will come out. It will definitely come out.
You know what else is really interesting? Like, I've heard some people talk about, whether it's a shadow government or, whether there's this covert manipulating body that rules this planet, that they've either hidden this technology that's been here for, from the early ages of mankind, and everything has been manipulated. And it's interesting when we look back and that shift through like the mid 1700s through the 1800s, the early 1900s, when we had all the World's Fair, we had all these magnificent structures that were supposedly built and then destroyed. We had, the Cabbage Patch Babies. The Cabbage Patch Babies were something real that then through the 80s, they made into like this toy that everyone, clamored after. And it was, the most popular toy for a certain period of time. But all this stuff, the insane asylums, we think about the trains, the orphan trains. So all this stuff, when we really scrutinize and we look at our history is not what they made it to be. So anyone looking at this, I think that's the first thing we have to look at. Okay, our history and what we know of it has been manipulated from the beginning of time. So this has been manipulated. So now some of it's coming out, and is it coming out in a sense that these people are going against whoever's controlling the information, that they're truly releasing it? Or yes, are they controlling the information? Is it being spoon-fed to us for a reason? And then they can still control and harness and manipulate whatever the narrative is. So, I take it for face value. I think it's a good conversation for people that think this stuff is absolutely crazy talk or can't exist. So at least maybe those people, the narrative can open, or they can shift and go, okay, all my friends who say they saw an alien or they saw a spaceship, maybe they're not so crazy, and I can start talking to them again, but you have to think this has all been manipulated. But it's a very interesting thing, and it's an interesting thing that they're bringing like the religious church dynamic into it. Now, on the flip side also, I don't think if we discover and find aliens and aliens exist, which you and I both think they do, we obviously interview and speak to many people who have had critical pieces of evidence, that have been able to look at this in a very scientific, evidential way and show that this isn't crazy talk. This is something truly happening and people are truly experiencing it. So now, how are we going to expose that gray area and find the truth? Well, I think it's going to be talking to people like the people we speak to, and I'm curious to see what Jack's perspective is from when we last spoke to him to now. And just all these other things, people starting to tune more into past life regression that are taking them to other lives, or they're taking them to a life in a different civilization that was an alien civilization on a different planet from early on, 1 million years ago on Mars, or someone that's in this, vast, distant star system that they can identify and didn't even know was there. Then they could say, okay, wow, this actually exists. And that's interesting. Oh, wow. Now we're starting to see that potentially their life could exist. Oh, we're seeing oxygen there. We're seeing a water source. So, I mean, I think it's time. It's unveiling has, it's been hidden for long enough. So, let the truth be told. But I'm curious, and I think it also says if there's a divine creator, this doesn't nullify or say that there's not. I think this reinforces that if we have a divine creator, well, humans may not be that only thing that came from that divine creation, and I think it would be ignorant for us just looking at the life forms that are here on this planet to say that we're the only thing.
Yeah, you touched on civilizations, and we have had other civilizations here, and it's just was recreated in the storybooks, and or not storybooks, but in history books, and what was here, because some of these buildings do not look like they were built by people that were in a horse and buggy. They're enormous, maybe
with chisels and little hammers,
or
and
or
it's insane to think that.
Yes, or beings with more developed and advanced than we are or were. There's so much coming out right now, and we say, why are they coming out? I see Jack's here, but Heather's not. So as soon as
and it's interesting because I think the question you can ask is, was there this highly advanced human race that was so advanced we connected and had open communication and dialogue with these other alien species, and it was something that was normalized, and we had technology like they did, but was there a great war? Like, what had happened that we wipe ourselves out? Were we part of another war? And there's lots of theories and lots of deep dive rabbit holes that people have gone on around this, but what is it? Where is it? Were we embedded with an alien race? Were we connected to them? And now are we seeing them like coming back going, wow, what happened? We're seeing the aftermath of this now, a million years later. This is what humanity looks like. We find them intriguing, speaking like, the alien race looking at us, being this blend of a soul and a physical being in one. We have empathy, and we have these crazy divine abilities of telekinesis, telepathy that they probably also possess. So whether we come from them, whether we were created in a hybrid lab, I still think whatever the lineage is that drops down, there's still some type of omnipotent, intelligent, creative source that I still believe we all stem from.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna hold that because we have our guests here, and I'm gonna present them and bring them out. So we have Heather Besser, who is an exceptionally talented medium hailing from the vibrant state of Texas. From an early age, Heather's innate intuition set her apart, gifting her with a remarkable ability to connect with the spiritual realm. With unwavering dedication, she has devoted her life to utilizing her extraordinary talents to bring comfort and guidance to those in search of answers. Heather's unique gifts enable her to bridge the gap between the physical and spiritual worlds, offering solace, exposure, profound insights to those who seek her assistance. With her remarkable ability to channel messages from departed loved ones and spirit guides, she facilitates connections between the living and those who have crossed over to the other side. If you want to find her, she's on all social media, and I have heather.wilkinson.984. Now, Jack, we've had before. He's a documentary film producer. If you would like to see his trilogy films, I'll get into that. He's a screenwriter, nonfiction book author. He's the founder of J3 Films, a production company dedicated to producing thought-provoking documentaries. He produced and wrote the award-winning documentaries. You have to catch these. They are amazing, and they're about extraterrestrials. It's a series, Extraordinary, the Stan Romanak story. We have Extraordinary, the Seeding, and Extraordinary, the Revelations. He will tell you what all that is. These films have garnered significant acclaim and generated over 1 million in gross sales on streaming platforms. He's the author of acclaimed book, Killing Kennedy. That's interesting too, because of the MK Ultra, and they're saying that hearing the other day, I don't know if you saw it, in which presents compelling interviews with researchers, authors into the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. He's also the author of Ghost Soldiers in Gettysburg and Unknown Down. Okay, before I'm not going to keep going, blah, blah. There's so much more. But if you would like to look him up right now, you can find him at www.jackrothauthor.com, and he's on social media. And let's bring them out. And here's Heather, and here is Jack. Hi.
Hey guys.
Heather, what is up, Jack? Pleasure having both of you here with Two Psychics Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us again. We're excited.
I'm so excited you guys are here.
We have an interesting blend of topics, kind of talking about the alien thing, bringing a little bit of the mediumship thing into it. You know, I think we can maybe bridge some gaps of communication, energy links, where this whole thing is going. We're not sure, so we want you to help us unfold this a little bit.
The experts, they're the experts.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything known. Yeah, like listen, that using that word expert scares me. Right, as I'm sure it does you guys. That's a rough word to throw around, because really, like, we're all on this planet learning and growing, and I think the only way we're ever going to know when we're going to know everything is when we're not in this body. So we're trying our best. So but we'll fill in as many blanks as we can.
No, but when I say expert, I just meant, because you have firsthand knowledge. You did all of that research with, if we were referring to extraterrestrials, aliens, off-planet beings, you did all that research and you experienced, you got close to, so you received some of the information yourself. So that's more than a lot of people. And Heather has her own information, which she can share if she chooses to, about extraterrestrials. So when I say that, I mean comparatively, like you have a lot more knowledge and experiences.
Yeah, right. I think we can all attest to the people that go down those rabbit holes tend to definitely have experiences associated with them. Correct. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Jack and Heather, both of you, Jack, you first, can you just talk to our audience a little bit about your journey and just a quick rundown, those that didn't listen to the Two Psychics podcast that you were on previously, a little bit of your history and what got you to where you're at now, and you too, Heather, like you, same thing for your journey, and kind of tying this into the whole alien thing that's unfolding, and a little bit of the dynamic of what we're hearing, even the church jumping into this conversation that, all aliens are demons, and we're seeing a lot of conflict, and we're seeing both sides come out now in the church. And so let's just start on your journey, how it got you here. Heather, same thing with you, and then we're going to jump into some of these the hot topics right now around this.
Okay.
Awesome. Basically I got started. I have a journalism background, so for me it was all about research, and I became interested. At first it was the paranormal and hauntings, and I had a couple of experiences and needed to know more. And I took the approach of documentarian as a journalist, and I just started doing as much research as I could. I started going to places. I started interviewing people, going all over the country to these quote unquote haunted places. And one thing led to another, and that's how the book started. I wrote a book about Gettysburg, and then over time, I had always been interested in the ET stuff, always. And so I started down that path, and that's how we wound up. My partner and I, John Sumple, who I believe is actually listening to this right now, which is pretty cool, from up in Alberta. But we started the documentaries, and that's when we did. And once we started those documentaries, which was all about UFOs and abductions and hybridization programs, and we got deeper and deeper and deeper into it, and that's when the experiences really started. So I've always been like, it was always about all that. And then, it's funny how now we're finding that all these things are related, but you mentioned the JFK book, and I wanted, that was something I always wanted to write. And because I always felt like, well, they're lying to us about that, and that is not the way that went down. It was not Oswald. And, now it's coming out all this MK Ultra stuff and Jack Ruby, and it's all part of this nefarious. It's either a cover up or outright lying to the human populace, if you will, hiding the truth from them. So that's kind of been my mantra now, is like, we have to speak our truth. We have to tell the truth. And, using whatever we're good at to do it. On my end, again, started as being a journalist and wanting to do it and tell stories the right way. And now I'm also, become an experiencer, if you will. So there's that part of it. So that's my story, and it's been a long journey and one I would never take back. I'm glad I went down this rabbit hole and have experienced the things I've experienced.
When you say experiencer, can I just ask him that follow-up quick question, Heather? When you say experiencer, you mean you've experienced extraterrestrials? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and I feel like my psi abilities have been leveled up over the years, and I've never professed to be a psychic medium like you guys. I'm not that way, but I've seen things, I hear things, at night I have very interesting visions and dreams, and I know we've spoken about that briefly in the past, but yeah. So from that standpoint, when I say, I wouldn't what you call a classic abductee, but I've been communicated with, and in other ways. So yes, that's just happened over the years, especially within the last 3 years or so.
It's interesting though. It's almost like you had to have those experiences to just fully pull you into it. It's like it consumed you with this passion. That's what I feel around that. Once you had your experience, it was like, okay, I don't care what anyone says. There's something to this, and I'm going to figure it out. And it seems like, I have to think that energy is like the underlying energy also that I sense a lot of. And I feel like Mary had something very similar too. And that's a really special thing, I think, when we can tune into it. And I think that's why you're, really trekking, and really breaking some new ground, I would say, around this, and it's cool to see that passion, and I just have to honor and just talk about that a little bit, because that just, I think we can all use people like that in our lives to kind of fuel us a little bit, and that's the passion I love to see around other people that are doing this work.
Yeah, and the passion comes from, really, you get tired of being lied to. I don't even grow up my whole life with people even with ghosts. It's like people, there's no such thing, and it's Casper and it's Boo, and it's like they make fun of it, they belittle it, and people have these profound experiences. Well, guess what? Consciousness does survive death. So there you go. But you have to experience it. Right. Yeah. And then that gives you that motivation to say, I need to share this with other people because it's the truth. Yeah. And people, we've been lied to so much that we feel like, hey, no, you're not going to do that. No, it's time that people understand what's really real. So yeah, I appreciate that. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, Heather, share us your story. Let's hear, how has this unfolded and led you to where you are now and what's going on? And, for me, I just have to say, just coming out as a medium, I know how hard that is, but then you throw in like some of the alien stuff into it and everything. And that could be a hard, chaotic journey to get past. And I have to think similar to Jack, did you have some really profound experiences that you were like, look, it doesn't matter what anyone says, I know this is happening? And I just feel like that story is also in there. And I almost feel like that's kind of a connecting, like maybe one of those connecting energy links between us all tonight.
Yeah. So I've been able to talk and see spirits since I was a kid. So knowing that I was different started whenever I was in kindergarten, whenever the other kids couldn't see stuff, my mom gets called in to talk to my teacher because I'm talking to her grandfather. So my mom sort of was like, maybe you shouldn't talk about that stuff at school. So I kind of suppressed it for a while, but I mean, I could still see and I could still hear. The ET thing, that didn't come along until after I met Jack. So I have to thank him for that. I've actually been scared of ETs. Just I don't know why. It's just like a phobia kind of thing, because they're different and they're not of human race, and it's just weird talking to them because they're not spirits. They talk on a different vibration. They talk differently. They don't talk in English. They talk in whatever language that they speak in, and it's just different. And it was frightening at first, but now that I've talked to them so long, I say so long, it's been what, 2 or 3 years, and I've gotten used to them. But yeah, I mean, I can see them sometimes. Most of the time is telepathically. Sometimes they show up and they scare the hell out of me whenever they do that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
What I find fascinating as a medium, and I'm sure, we get lots of practitioners, whether they're healers, Reiki practitioners, psychics, or mediums. We get lots of different people watching this podcast. And I think mediums across the board, I think a question that would probably, I would be doing all of them a disservice if I didn't ask, what did you experience as far as a mediumship type of connection, and how were you experiencing things, clairvoyantly, clairaudiently, smelling and seeing it, versus when you started to experience this alien energy, and what were the differences? What were the shifts? Talk a little bit about that and how it differed, and what were your experiences as far as first connecting to spirit, and then connecting to alien energy, the telepathic connection, or just give us a little overview of that, and how you experience that, and how that's unfolded from where it started to where it is now.
Okay, so with spirits, I can see them, I can hear them, I can touch them if I wanted to. They can touch me, but I see them like people, just like I'm looking at you now.
Yeah.
Sometimes
now, are you seeing them semi-translucent when you're seeing them here? Are you seeing them full body apparition? How exactly are you experiencing them?
Yeah, full body, not transparent. Okay. Just like, I'm looking at you right now. I had a full conversation with one on a cruise ship one time that my husband was like, "What are you doing talking to yourself?" I'm like, "No, I'm talking to this guy right here." But usually, I can tell who's a spirit and who's not, right? But I guess at that point I couldn't, because there was so many people around me, but I was having this full conversation. I know other people were looking at me, but whatever, but yeah, I can see, hear, I can smell.
So can our disclaimer be for any parents out there, if your children have imaginary friends, they may not be imaginary, right? A disclaimer. Tune into that, see what they're saying. Is that kind of what, were you experiencing that? And did people think that?
Well, so my spirit guide, her name is Etta. She's wonderful. Shout out to Etta. She's actually shown herself to my mother and my husband and stuff, full bodied, just for a second, and so they knew that I wasn't just talking to someone that wasn't there. They knew that she was there, because sometimes, the cabinets would close and things like that would happen. And I knew it was her. I'd be like, "Oh, well, Etta was doing this," or, someone was doing this. I had a little friend, my imaginary friend. I say imaginary. Her name was Broken Leg Girl. This is whenever I was that was the first one that I ever had, was Broken Leg Girl. And, we would play Barbies and things in my room whenever I was probably about 3, I guess. And then we moved from that house, and I haven't seen her since. So I guess she just likes that house. She's not trapped there. I think she just likes it, or likes the land, whatever it was on.
That's interesting. And when you saw her, did she have a broken leg? Is that how you identified her? You saw she had an injury?
Yes, she had her broken leg. She had one little crutch that she walked on, and
wow.
I don't know why she presented herself.
It'd be wild if you did some of the lineage of the property and the families to see what child broke their leg on the property, if they had records of that, or that would be really, really wild.
Yeah, it's strange that I haven't thought about her since, I last talked to her until now. This is when I first brought her back up. So I might try to connect with her and see, what she's been up to. But with ETs, it's different. Sometimes they show themselves to me. I remember going down the road one time, and one presented itself in the back seat of my car, full bodied, it was just sitting there. It scared me to death. I remember calling Jack. I was like, "I'm about to have a heart attack." And so he had to talk me down from the ledge. But
did it just materialize? All of a sudden it was empty space? Do you look back and this thing just materialized, or did you actually see it starting to materialize and coming into form? Like, what was
No,
that process like?
it was already in form. I was just
Oh
driving
wow,
down the road
okay,
by myself, and then I just
yeah,
happened to,
yeah.
I was going to pass a car, and so I looked behind me and I saw it sitting in the back.
Mm.
So, but sometimes I see them like in full body, not transparent or anything like that. But most of the time, it is telepathically, and
Mm.
I know who they are because usually it's the same ones that come and talk to me, and I can differentiate who they are by what they sound like. So, yeah, I was actually just talking to one earlier. She's around. Her name is Kioma.
And
She's great.
so from what you've experienced, do you think they're just tuning into mediums because they know we're using our brain in a different way? So maybe we'll be receptive or we'll be open to it and not think that this is crazy? Or do they, like where do you think the connection is? Because it just seems like, mediums are definitely tuning in way quicker than most people, I guess, other than, people that have been trained, underground by the military or a secret society or whatever it may be. You're just seeing more and more mediums that are starting to at least acknowledge this, and people aren't thinking they're crazy. So do you think the aliens, and they know, hey, mediums are tuning into different frequencies, they're going to kind of understand what we're doing, and they may be able to separate it? Or like, was it a process that you had to separate this out? Like, this isn't spirit, this isn't, this isn't Uncle Johnny, this isn't, my friend's mom, like this is definitely a living being coming through telepathically? Or like, how did you understand it and separate it initially?
So spirits
Or
and
did you
ETs,
just know?
yeah, spirit and ETs talk. They just talk differently, and I know
Mm.
that they're on a different vibration, right? And so
Yeah, yeah.
I just know, kind of. I guess it's like
Mm.
a medium thing where you just know, and I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they have an
Yep.
easier time talking to mediums just because we are aware that there are more vibrations and more realms than what is here just in the 3D
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
And so I think it's easier for them to come through.
Mm.
But I think that whenever they come through, I think for mediums, they have to understand that that is not, Uncle Johnny's grandpa,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the ET. And I think that once they realize that they talk a lot, if you actually listen to them, they do. But I
Yeah,
think like, I think like now closer to, people are more enough to believe, that there are other life forms out there just besides humans, that, not to be
yeah.
afraid of them, because the majority of them are here for good, and they want to do good, and they want to save the earth from ourselves. And that's just really the message that they want to do. The more people that they reach, the more people that can spread the word that this is what we need to do.
Interesting. I like how you talk about it in a different type of energy. You feel it and sense it differently. Because from my own experiences, that's exactly how I've perceived it. I mean, the alien thing isn't something that I've jumped both feet in, and but I've kind of, I've touched the surface of it. And I've had my own experiences where I'm like, this is absolutely a different energy. They're communicating and connecting to me differently. And it was very interesting. So I appreciate you speaking of it in that way. And I think that's something that, anyone out there wanting to try to understand this or tune into it, even if you're learning mediumship, it's about sitting and feeling the energy and tuning in, and how does it resonate with you, and every medium, I think, is going to receive it slightly different. I like to explain it as like a musician. Every guitar player can play the same song, but we're all going to play it a little differently, or put our own little, put our own spin on that, our own taste on it, our own flavor. And mediumship is no different. And that's what I think anyone out there, just let go and see and tune in and trust. Because I think a lot of times people think, oh, that's a coincidence, or they rule it out, or they, they're fearful of it. When I'd like you to talk a little bit after, I'll let Mary Amy ask some questions, but I want to talk about some of the perceptions and maybe some of the fear that was initially around this, that you've kind of navigated through, how you navigate it, and now you see, and we can share with others. I would have to say there's nothing around this to be fearful of. Is that kind of your mindset now, how you're approaching this?
Yeah, I think like once you talk to them enough that they just, become family, just like the spirits do.
Cool. Yeah, that's interesting.
So Heather, and Jack, because he's had contacts too. What are some of the messages? Because, what I believe is that extraterrestrials seem to materialize because you are operating on a specific frequency, vibrational frequency, and so that's the same as theirs, connected to you, and or you're exploring some of their lineage or the topic. It's almost like you manifest it by going down the rabbit hole. What are some of the messages that you believe that have come through? Like, I mean, to you personally, but is there messages that you're receiving related to the rest of humanity?
Well, I think that, number one, humans are ruining the earth. And I think that's just what they're trying to do, is save us from ourselves, basically. The global warming, the climate change in general, the extinction of animals and certain plants and things like that. I think that we've heard about that a lot. I mean, Jack, what do you?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that people, unfortunately, there is a positive and a negative aspect to this, and that's something I definitely never wanted to believe, but that's the reality. Is there's these higher vibrational beings, extraterrestrials, and the ones that are here to help, and it's most of the ETs care about humanity, and they want to see us evolve into what you might call galactic neighbors. But there's one in particular that is a lower vibrational kind of energy, darker energy, that is, and people refer to that as the Dracos, the reptilians, whatever you might want to call it. And we've had experience with both, and it's humans just doing really bad things, and destroying the planet and destroying each other, and war and horrible things. But they're being manipulated by this darker, lower vibrational kind of energy, and it's all that energy is all about ego and arrogance and and greed, and an obsession with money and materialism and materialistic things. And you see that with the leaders. That's all they care about is power and ego, and they're arrogant, and they do evil things to other people, and they don't care. They're sociopathic in that sense. So the message is really, it's from the light, from the good beings, from the ones who are benevolent. It's always, A, speak your truth, B, live authentic life, and be kind to each other. Just have that positive, when you wake up every day, treat others with kindness. I know that sounds simple and it sounds oversimplified, but if that's the prevailing attitude of humanity, then that can take over the darker side of that. And right now, up until I'd say now, we've been dominated by the negative, darker side of that. And then if you want to put it in the Star Wars kind of vernacular, you would say that, the evil empire has been winning, right? Like, so they're winning because they've been able to manipulate enough of our leaders and important people to care only about themselves. You see this all over the world. You see it with our leaders. You see it with leaders from other countries. They'd rather bomb and kill innocent women and children than actually get along. And for what? For what reason? For resources, for materialistic nonsense. So that's the message. And because we ask a lot of times, like, because we're getting communicated with, like, what do you want us to do? What should we do? What are our marching orders? Right? I want to know, because I'll do it. If I need to make more docs, I'll make more documentaries. If I need to do other things, I'll do that. And the answer always is just be kind. Just they're handling on a higher level. There's a war going on between these two forces, if you will, yin yang. But for us down here, we need to not get caught up in If the only thing you care about is fame and fortune, and your ego controls you, then you're going to be an easy target for the nastier, lower vibrational energy. And if you think about it, it's true. And it goes back to, if you want it, it goes back to Jesus and what he was teaching us, right? The real message, which was, we're all, God is within us. The kingdom of God is within us. You don't worship me. The organized religion is bad, right? Jesus wasn't about that. He wanted all of us to realize that individually, that's in us. We can make these beautiful changes if we all care about it and love each other. Then the world is a much better place all around. And that really is the message. But I don't know. It has to happen for each individual person. Right. So that's their message to us. And Heather, and you want to add to that, but I would say that's the message is be kind, wake up every day and let go of the ego and just be kind. Love. It's about just love. And I know, again, that sounds so oversimplified, but think about all the hatred and all the anger that we're dealing with in the world today. It's all negative. And the news is all negative. It's negative on purpose because the people that control the narrative are the ones in power, the one that want that power and control. And we can stop that. We can reverse that. And the way we do it is to literally wake up every day and be the kindest you can be.
Aww.
No, I know that sounds kumbaya.
No, but you know what though? That's true. What you just said. What about you? What's the messages that you've gotten, Heather?
No, I mean, usually whenever they come down, Jack and I are talking on the phone because they know not to bother me, kind of. Because I still am kind of, iffy when it comes to them. Like you said, Michael, earlier about how you dip your toes into it. It's hard, like going like full throttle into that ET world. Yeah. But once you're thrown into it, you're thrown into it, and then but yeah, it's always about be kind, stop doing stupid things to each other, and just live life authentically. Spirit says the same thing.
Yeah, I think as humans we want to overcomplicate things, and that tends to be our problem. If we can simplify it and look at it in that way, be love, be of love, try to be of service, try to help, your fellow men. I think then, we would be in a much better place. Yeah, I think that's a very powerful message, and we as humans want to overcomplicate it. So that would be probably one of the messages, or probably if not the most powerful message of this podcast episode tonight. Be love. Put that love that you want to see in the world, put it out there, put it into the world. And,
totally. We're all working together, not against each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, it's those small steps and what we can do. I think that's the thing. A lot of people think, well, what kind of difference can I make? And well, we can, if we all just do a little bit, that's all it takes, and working together, this unified energy that we can absolutely do. And hopefully, I guess that's what the aliens that are watching or from a bird's eye view are going, they have such a great thing here. Let's hope they don't destroy it. I have to think that's, like what we speak about. That's one of the underlying things. Now, one of the other things, so Heather, on the back end, I do want to talk to you about one of maybe your most wild experiences that you've had to this point connecting with them. But prior to us talking about that, Jack, I'd like your opinion on this perspective of, aliens or demons or aliens. We're hearing this other conversation come up now. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a false narrative that's going to get us in really big trouble. And that's exactly what the energies want. And that's what I say, when we use the word demon, right, we got, again, it's words, right? But those are the words we're indoctrinated with. So it's demon. Well, what's a demon? Well, it's the opposite of an angel. It's the opposite of God. It's demon. It's in hell. It's down low. It's the exorcist. And the bottom line is that ETs are, so listen, if we're on a 3-dimensional now, I believe we're in a 5-dimensional world. Okay, that things have changed. The vibration has changed a little bit. And if we're going to evolve into higher dimensional beings, right? And there's beings on every dimension. So we're fifth dimensional, and then there's seventh dimensional ETs, and fairies are fifth and sixth dimensional. And I think people are going to start seeing things now more often, because as we shift into 5D, we're going to see things like Bigfoot and fairies and elves, the things that people used to talk about in the ancient times. Oh yeah, because we were more connected actually 4,000 years ago than we are today. So to these energies, but ETs, and they're extraterrestrials. They have families, they have planets. They're interdimensional from the standpoint that they're higher vibrational, higher dimensional, but they also have home planets. They live, right? They have family units. They have all of this. Now, if you want to call the Draconians, if you want to label them demons, if you can use that word as a fairly accurate description, because they're like the snake in the Garden of Eden, right? If you want to kind of relate it biblically, then you can look at them and say, well, they're tempting human beings who we're down here to learn and grow. And we come down knowing we want to have challenges, which is why our ego brains and our brains are constantly getting in the way. And we're making mountains out of molehills all the time. We're complicating things. It's really quite simple, but we complicate it. That's what we do. Well, that's to learn and grow. And so if you look at the Draconians as demons, because they're the ones saying, hey, listen, we'll give you all the wealth and the fame and the fortune that you want, but you have to, tie into what we're trying to do on this planet from the standpoint of idolization, right? Celebrity, idolization, money. It's all about sports, how much athletes make, how much movie stars make, what things they have and the things that we don't have, and don't we want those things? It's all about that. They create this environment, right? So from that standpoint, you could look at Draconian ETs, which are not necessarily quote unquote the devil with a tail and a pitchfork, but they are negative energies. So, but the majority of ETs, because they're so advanced, are very, very benevolent and full of that kind of light and love and understanding. And people talk about the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and the tall grays and the mantids, and they're so evolved that their systems, they don't have money. No, there's no such thing as money and currency in the realities that they live in. No one's paying $700 for an electric bill because Con Edison is, greedy and wants to keep sucking everyone dry. So these things don't exist in their world because they've overcome this. So they want us to be able to get there so we can become part of these galactic neighbors that we were always meant to be. The Earth is a very special place. You could do a whole show on that. but just to kind of to because I don't want to go too off on this, but so I hate when people, and then the church, but that's part of the control mechanism. If people want to control, there are people that want to control the disclosure narrative, and they want people to be scared to death that it's going to be an ET invasion, that they're the demons from the Bible, and that blah, blah, all these horrible things. So people panic, live in fear. And that's one of the messages we get all the time is don't live in fear. Don't live in fear. Now, you have to be aware of these negative energies, definitely be aware of them, but don't live in fear of them, because the power that's within each one of us individually is way more powerful than those Draconians can ever be. And that's why they have to try to do that. They're sneaky. They have to try to lure us to not be the best people we can be. So that's what I would say about the demon thing. I know it might upset people, but it's not. It's, you got to look at it from a galactic standpoint, not necessarily a biblical one.
Heather, do you think that at some point, based on what Jack just said, that the Earth is going to shift into a higher frequency as it is? And I sense it's changing. CERN, they shut down CERN, which is interesting, 2 days ago. Do you think that some people will be left behind and some people will move to a higher frequency and we won't see each other, like how you saw or you see spirit in person and extraterrestrials? Do you think that we will start not seeing certain people, and everyone else will start seeing the extraterrestrials in spirit?
Well, I think that there is definitely going to be a shift. I don't know how soon it's going to be, but hopefully, fingers crossed, very soon. I think that we'll still be able to see the people, but I think that we're going to know that we're on a different vibration than they are just by speaking to them. Because I think, like, even as maybe more people are going to be more clairvoyant than they are now and have more experiences, and believe, and actually want to go on that journey, and that will help them with, their vibration level.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that we're just not going to be able to see anyone.
Now, Heather, coming from a medium perspective, what's the wildest thing that's occurred since you've been utilizing this connection for aliens versus spirit of departed loved ones? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch. There's one ET. Her name is Kioma. She's a troublemaker, miscreant. She's very funny though. She just having conversation with her is a highlight of my day. Because she talks about strange things, calls people silly. She has more of a personality than the other ETs that I've talked to, because they're more like straightforward, straight to the point. There's another one named Rachel who is very straight to the point, and you have to she always comes down when she has something to say. But it's just, she says it and then she's gone. That's it. There's no chit chat, things like that. But I think the wildest thing that ever happened was, the first time that I ever saw an ET in the backseat of my car. I think that was it. But nothing now. If I got abducted right now on this podcast, I'd be like, well, this is what we're doing now.
That would be it. Yeah, I guess that alien in your back seat. Yeah, I guess that probably, I guess that could be at least in the top 2 or 3,
Yeah, totally. Because I could smell him, and it was bad.
It's interesting though. So, when you talk about this, it's funny because what comes to me as a medium is there'll be moments where I'll connect to a family, or in a space, I may connect to some of the energy and the lineage of the space. And I may get a playful childlike energy that, oh, wow, we can connect. Oh, wow, this human can hear me or understands me. And more energy will try to come in. Oh, wow, let's in a playful experimental thing. But it's interesting. Do you feel like you've it's similar to that? It's almost like, oh, wow, okay, this human can hear us. We can connect. Let's, and it turns into a game, or what's your perception of that?
I think it's more with spirits that they do that, because, the spirits come down and they're like, I think they're kind of checking me out at first, and I tell them hello and they're like, oh my God, but with ETs, I believe that they already know that I can speak to them.
Okay.
Yeah. How's it with you?
Yeah, well, I would have to say, I guess they know. So with spirit, it's interesting. With spirit, what I find is the process is it's one of 2 ways. And a lot of it depends on the energy that I'm connecting through. So some of it could be in the environment. Some of it could be the 3-way connection of my energy, the sitter's energy, and our loved ones in spirit. Some energy, when the people are more closed, I'm pulling the energy versus the energy flowing. So if someone's very open, tuned in, they're very receptive to mediumship and understanding this and wanting the evidence or wanting to help the process, the energy will just flow. When I was tuning in, so I'll give you a little background. I was meditating under the stars, and I was like, okay. And this is when we first, Mary and I first started up the podcast, and I'm hearing a lot about this. I've had my own experiences, but not profound experiences. But I'm like, all right, let me see. I know all my aspects of mediumship, how I connect, how I tune into the energy. I'm going to see if I can tune into alien energy. I'm going to see if I can tune into something in a star system. And the craziest thing is at that point in time, I didn't know, where are the Palladians? What star system are they tuned in? Where would I be trying to connect to them? Where are the Arcturians? Where I was very like, I didn't have an understanding about any of this. I was very new to it. And the crazy thing was I started meditating and I was drawn to a certain area, which was the Palladian star system. Now I know where this is if I'm looking at a star map. And at that point in time, I had no idea, but they started talking to me, and it flowed. And it was almost like I knew them, they knew me. So I would have to say in that experience, somehow, I don't know if we light up a little differently. They see our energy a little differently, but they knew they could tune into me. And immediately I started having this connection. And the more I tuned into it, the more it magnified. And it wasn't like I was trying to hold my energy to keep this link and keep this connection. Part of the mediumship is developing yourself as the conduit and holding the energy. That could be a process in and of itself, where this flowed a little more naturally. I didn't feel like I had to put as much of my energy into keeping the connection open. It was an open connection until I kind of shut it down, and I blocked it. And I was like, all right, I need to see where those stars are. If, the Palladian star system is where I was just connecting to, what is this? And sure enough, it all unfolded. And I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. Okay. Everything now that I'm looking up kind of validates what was happening in that energetic connection and what they were showing me, what they were talking to me about, telling me who they were. And at that point I was like, okay, well, if mediumship can be real and we can do that in an evidential way, then obviously this is just another page of energetic connections. It's a little different, but it's kind of the same. And that's what it's different, but it's the same. And that was my perception of it. So I found it really, really interesting hearing your perspective on it and hearing and feeling it like a different vibration or a different energy also. Because that's exactly like, as soon as you said that, I'm like, yep, that's exactly that's how I felt it and how my perception was around it. So it's very interesting. So now the next question in this is, do you feel the different alien species or the different alien races differently? Like, how do you feel them? Is it like, would you pick up an energetic difference in a different sensation, or do you feel it in a different way? Or like, what does that look like for you?
I can't exactly put it into words. I just know. It's
okay.
I don't know, but it's just like a knowing. Like there's an ET, his name is Sirius, and I know Sirius is different from Kioma just because of the way that they come through.
Okay.
But they're also like different races too. I just can't explain it, but I just know. And I also want to point out how you said that how as a medium you said that you never had anything profound happen, which is crazy because like I feel that same way too sometimes, but we talk to spirits all the time.
And I mean that is profound.
Everything is profound.
And it's funny because there's points where like I'm doing an event or I get done or and I think part of this process is trying to stay as grounded as you can. And again, like Jack spoke about earlier, we are kind of fighting the ego in this process. And as a medium, like that's something we have to let go, the emotional connection and that connection to ego, because, that can really, that's a battle that many people have to overcome. And it's part of the process. And I think that's why a lot of us go through chaotic energy or that dark night of the soul. And, sometimes we have to go through some really chaotic stuff to find ourselves, to find this calling or to tune into it, and like Mary and I always talk about, when the soul's calling you, it's going to keep calling you, till you listen. That's what it was for me. It was till it came screaming. And I said, okay, this is the process. I'll listen now.
Yeah. But the universe will scream at you if you don't listen.
Yeah.
I have a question for Jack. And before I ask Jack, Heather, we'll go through the comments in a little bit, but Heather, you have a specific question from John Sumple. I don't know if you know him. Inquiring minds want to know if anyone is coming through for Heather. Now, Heather, I saw you looking off earlier, and I was talking to you telepathically. I don't know if you saw, and you went like this to me, hi, and I said, hi, how's it going? And I don't know, are you any spirits coming through?
I have a room full of people.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all listening to our podcast, so it's great. We have a lot of views.
Nothing like putting you on the spot, not like putting you on the spot, but Mary's good at that.
No, so there's one who's very proud. I think it's for you, Michael. She's like showing me her last name because she said that I'm going to butcher it, but it's Janet. It's Nohavek.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a medium. Yes, that is someone that I studied with that is in spirit now. That was a very profound, I guess, profound kick in the ass that I had from her to say, you need to be doing this, and sometimes those people come into our life for a reason, for a season, or a purpose. She was absolutely, integral part of getting me on this journey. So that's cool. Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. Do we have anyone? Is there anyone out in the audience? I mean, someone wants to throw
we got to find out if she has a message for you.
No, she's just
what's
watching. She's just watching.
Oh.
Watching. Okay.
Just chilling.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with just a hey, what's up? That's a good one. That's a good one.
So sometimes there's passerbys, who come through, and like you were talking about earlier, it's like they feel the energy, they know that they have a way to communicate. So sometimes if you might know somebody who they know, and they're just like, okay, well, I can talk to them, and you know them, so you go ahead and tell them this message that I'm okay, or whatever. So who knows Deborah Kimbrough?
Yeah. So I know. Yes, I have. That's a family member. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Pansy, her mother.
Okay, that's a good.
Pansy is Deborah's mother, and she's saying that her birthday is coming up August 28th, and that she's going to be 118 years old.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Who is Pansy?
Nice.
Pansy. Yeah, she's going to be 1she's on her birthday.
Yeah, I guess she would be somewhere in there that I don't know. Yeah. So that's a good one.
Yeah, she's with Addie.
Okay.
Armstrong.
Okay. Cool.
I don't even know if Deborah watches the show or anything, but just let her know that she's with Addie Armstrong, and that Pansy said whenever she sees her again, she's going to make her some pineapple rolls.
Ooh.
Oh, all right.
Very cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But there's also a Roy Huggins for Deanna.
Oh, Deanna Nagel. Okay. She's Nigel. Deanna's a friend of Michael and I became certified through her. She's a holistic practitioner and a psychic.
Okay.
Well, Deanna, if you're on there and you're hearing this,
Deanna, are you still there?
Yeah, Heather, can you give us that name again?
Roy. She's there.
Roy,
I'm sorry. He was a colleague.
Colleague. Oh, cool.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
So we have a lot of people stopping in to say what's up. It's always a cool thing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think keep going. I mean, because they know.
Keep going a little bit more, and then I have a question for Jack.
Oh, well, if you want to ask him, go.
No, this is way more interesting than anything I'm going to say. So Heather, go.
Come on, go ahead, Heather.
Okay, so who is who? Someone knows someone named Lorraine Williams.
Anybody out there in the audience?
Lorraine Williams.
Oh, that's funny. So
you.
So I have a Lorraine.
Michael.
I have a Lorraine. Yeah.
Okay.
So it could be connected to me.
They know that, it's connected to you. This is Darlene. She's with Little Bill.
Okay. So we can have all right. So we may have to barter readings then. That's what we may have to do off camera.
Yeah, it's Darlene Williams. Darlene Williams. Married name. I can't understand the married name, like Lisa, something like that.
Who?
That's Darlene's name.
Oh, Darlene.
Sure. Yeah, I would have to look them up. I mean, they're probably there because some of the other names you're saying I'm definitely connected to, and some of the people I may not know. So they may be tied into. I'm sure they're tied into the family around the family, but like there's definitely, like, if they're giving you certain names, they're definitely there because those other people are there.
Yeah.
So we got everyone. It's a reunion, and it's funny. I find that it's interesting. A lot of times, certain people, they see the opportunity. Oh, hey, a medium's here. Let me jump in. Even readings, that's what I tell people. Like, when you're reading, don't just think about your parents, your friend, it could be a coworker, it could be someone that you weren't expecting, and the connection opens and people piggyback in, and it's interesting. Sometimes I'll have a close friend of someone that's getting a reading that they just lost their mom, and like mom will come in, and it's interesting that the person that I'm doing the reading for may not even know that happened, or they may not know the name, and then it's like, oh, you get the email a week later or a couple of days later, yes, that person was in spirit and we didn't know. And so it's cool. And that's the funny thing too, I think, about mediumship, is even people that don't receive a message, like in large galleries or different events, I do believe spirit finds a way to come in and give a message, just like it. And it's funny, I'm tying this together with the aliens, just like the aliens wanting to, a message of hope for humanity, come from a place of love. Well, it's funny because I think there's a lot of common connections between connecting to spirit and the insight and guidance they want to bring through, and connecting to aliens and what they want to bring through. But I would definitely say we can absolutely, if we tune in and trust, we can get insight, knowledge, and guidance that we would not tune into otherwise. And I would say each one of us could probably go through and talk about our own experiences of how we've experienced that connection and how it's changed things for us. But that would be keeping you both on till like midnight tonight. I know we're not going to do that to you, but
one more.
It's awesome.
One more.
Yeah.
One more. I have a dog that's here, and apparently they're all for Michael. Do you know like Cindy Carroll?
Oh, yes. That is another relative.
Oh, well, this is her dog Sierra.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's it.
All right.
They're just all
excellent.
Yeah. So Deanna said he wrote for a book I edited and a magazine I edited. We were the same professional circle. So she's giving a little bit more validation. Heather, unbelievable. Okay, Jack, question. Let's get on to these extraterrestrial documentaries, because I don't know if everyone's familiar with them. Can you recap and explain, like, how did this even happen? What were you doing making extraterrestrials documentaries? Because the years were 2017, 2019, 2021. If you want to share, and then kind of coordinate that is in relation to how you met Heather or came back into Heather's life. I don't know if the two are related, but
yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah, I had actually met Heather when I first started, just 1995. So we're going back a little bit here, and this was during my ghost. This is what started it all, because I had taken some pictures at the Myrtles plantation. I think we may or may not have talked about this. The Myrtles plantation is pretty famous in its own right in Louisiana. Very known to be incredibly haunted, but this was before it got really popular. And I happened to have a book that was like written in the 1960s on ghosts of the South. And I think it was Southern Guy. I don't even remember the name of the book, but it talked about these ghosts of the Myrtles. So I had gone there with some friends for Memorial Day just to hang out. And at the time I was into photography, so I was taking a bunch of pictures. I met Heather's aunt then. That's when I met Heather's aunt for the first time at the Myrtles plantation. And that time I took photos, and they came out with like these full form apparitions, two ghosts, and that tied in directly to the plantation. So that's what started the whole journey for me. And then like a year later, we went back to the Myrtles because I became really good friends with her aunt and some of her other relatives. And I met 10-year-old Heather. Heather was 10, and I met her at the Myrtles. And so now fast forward, I do the ghost thing. I do the whole Gettysburg thing. I'm really into that. But that in the back of my mind, there's that you need to do stuff on ETs. ETs I've always been fascinated by that. So what wound up the first documentary we did, it was because I had met some researchers in Denver, Colorado at a conference out there, and they introduced me to the Stan Romanek case, which at that time was like full blown, a lot going on. So one thing led to another. We wound up doing a documentary on his experiences, which I know is he's very controversial, but I can attest to the fact that the stuff that happened was real. So I think he may have been compromised by some government people who didn't want him to have credibility. But that's when the high strangeness started for us. We knew our phones were being tapped, and this whole crazy, the things you're hearing about now, the things that are coming out about this massive cover up of it, and the military involvement, and these projects, these top secret projects, and what the government knows and what the military knows. This all started to become part of our lives. And then, so what wound up happening is we had made this one documentary about this one guy's amazing experiences, and it ended with kind of his hybrid. He had these hybrid children that were calling him, right? Like 7-8 years later from when his experiences started, all of a sudden he has these kids calling him on the phone, literally, and saying, "Hi, Dad, I'm so-and-so." And Keoma is one of those people, the ET, that she's a hybrid. And that's why she has more of a personality. She laughs. She has a sense of humor. She's very sweet. Because that's one of Stan's daughters. And we had known this, like we hadn't directly spoken with her, but he gave her name when she was calling Stan and trying to say, "Hey, we're going to come to a conference. You'll meet us," all this stuff. So what we decided to do, we wound up, because the first one did really well. So our distributors were like, "What else you got?" And I said, "Well, we really need to do a trilogy, because we told one man's story. So now let's talk about," we met some women who had these false pregnancies, and it was all part of these hybridization experiments, these hybridization programs, because we knew the end game of all of these things with a lot of abductees was these children. So why were people being abducted? And there could be several reasons for that. One for sure is definitely the making of these hybrid children. And so we did the second documentary about that and the false pregnancies and et cetera, et cetera. It was more female centric from that standpoint. And then the last one we did, we tied everything together, and that was the Revelations. Second one was called The Seeding. Third one, The Revelations. And that kind of tied everything together. We had military whistleblowers in that one. That was the most profound from the standpoint of what we learned, because we tied everything together. And these whistleblowers came out and said, "Yeah, absolutely. I was part of a crash retrieval. And this one guy, Vietnam vet in his 70s, he's since passed away, and he was crying on camera. It was very emotional for him, because you're in these programs, and a lot of times, believe it or not, these people are psychic. So the military knows who it's using, because they know they can communicate with the ETs on some level. So this guy was, and they used him for that. They also used some other people for remote viewing. They used people for all these things. And then they tell you, if you ever talk about it, you're going to Leavenworth or worse. So they can't ever talk about the things that they experience until way later in life, right? They're in their 70s and 80s, and they're dying, and they're like, "I don't care anymore. I can't keep the secret anymore," because it takes a toll on people to keep those kinds of secrets. You're talking about secrets of the universe here. This is very important, that we're not alone in the universe. So that's how all that came together. And then I reconnected with Heather about 3.5, 4 years ago now, maybe a little less than 4 years ago, because her aunt called me, because I was friends with her, and she's like, "Hey, man, you need to talk to my niece." I'm like, "Oh, that little girl, Heather, who I met at Turtles," and she's like, "Yeah, you can't believe her abilities. It's through the roof with her abilities." And her aunt knew that I had worked with a lot of psychics before because of some of the work I had done. And I was very kind of picky about like, okay. And I love psychic mediums. And I'm not just saying it because I'm on the show, but I would never go to a haunting without one, because without a true medium who could really communicate, it could get very boring. Because you're there with your equipment and your tri-field meter might go up a little bit, but without that connection, you don't know what's going on. So anyway, so I reconnected with Heather, who ironically was saying that my cat that keeps coming through to her, my cat Sophia, who we had. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, Sophia. And she started telling me all these things about Sophia. And I'm like, oh my God. And then one thing, and she started talking about, it was someone my wife has worked with for over 30 years at Delta Airlines, and his parents came through and saying that they missed him coming and sending with flowers, and that don't throw away that family pot and pan that it came down from family from generation to generation. And when my wife told this guy what Heather was saying, he lost it. He was crying like a baby. And he's like, that's the pan my grandmother, and we were going to throw it out. And last year we didn't lay flowers on their grave, and all this stuff came out. But then, and this is where it got really interesting with Heather and I, it started to get into soul connections as far as soul groups and soulmates were concerned. And there was basically same soul group. And again, this could be a different show. I get it. I don't want to get into that too much because it's take too long. And then it's all these people who were coming through in a project I was working on that tied into why was I so interested in this one particular person to write a book about? Well, it turns out that was my soulmate. So from history. And I was this certain person, and more and more kept coming out, but it came out that Heather and I were in the same soul group. We're in the same soul group. So I can't tell you and properly explain the profound nature of how that changes your life. And when you know it's true, and when you feel it, and then you start having more and more experiences. And then my ears started to ring when there was a presence, a spirit near me. I never had what you would call major psychic medium ability. I still can't do what you guys do, but now I'm a lot more sensitive than I was. And Heather and I have been fast friends. I mean, we talk, unless one of us is on vacation somewhere and out of pocket, we talk four or 5 times a week. I mean, it just is what it is. And, at this point, we just feel like we want to do it the best we can do for the rest of humanity based on these experiences, to share them, because by sharing these experiences and saying you're never alone, first of all, we're all connected. Everything in the universe is connected. All right. So if people feel that sense of isolation, don't, because we are all connected. And sometimes down here on Earth, you can feel very isolated because of the world we were born into and the propaganda and, being indoctrinated the way we have been. And so that's where Heather and I are at. Like, we still continue to, Heather's involved in as a consultant and also as an investor in the feature film we're working on now. And, we want to continue to tell important stories and share that information with the rest of the world. So I guess that's how that all happened. I think that's what you wanted to know, right, Mary?
I really wanted you. I love what you said. I wanted you to share with the audience exactly what your background was and how it all kind of connects all the intersections that the two of you have, and it's over a period of many years. And then now it seems like you're in the same place, right? You're on the same timeline, and you talk this much, you're working on a project together, you have a lot of common experiences.
Yeah. And we were meant to reconnect in this lifetime, and we had a little help from our friends, but we reconnected. But that's the message is, there's no such thing as a coincidence. Like, follow your intuition. Synchronicities are real, right? And that's why it's like living an authentic life. Follow your intuition. Don't let other people tell you who you should and shouldn't be. And you guys know this. By living that way, you're going to meet the people you're supposed to meet. You're going to establish relationships with the people you're supposed to establish relationships with. And waters kind of part that way when you're living on purpose and you're living a purposeful life. So and Michael, you mentioned this about connection, but it's like, these are things that you don't have to be a guru to tell people, right? Like if you say, live your life authentically, wake up every day with love in your heart, and believe it or not, it'll go a very long way. And even if you think, what am I going to do? I'm just one person. I'm not going to go and stop the war in Lebanon and Gaza. No, but if you give out good, positive vibes and energy and that higher vibrational energy, believe it or not, at some point soon, there will be a paradigm shift. A critical mass will be reached. And all those blocks and that matrix that we've been put under, it's going to collapse. It's collapsing right now. So we just have to stay the course, keep doing what we're doing, right? And reach others and with that positive message. And I think, and I know we're all going to be good.
Yeah, it's such a great message, such a powerful message. And I think that's the thing. People can understand we all can make a difference. We all can make a difference. We all have this divine ability. We have to choose to tune into it. It's a choice.
Yes,
a lot of people are, whether they're sidetracked, they don't trust it. They, like you said, a lot of people are ruling this out as a coincidence. Well, when we can break those barriers down, we can trust. I think we can all agree that anyone listening, when you can tune in, your life will never be the same. That's one thing we try to tell people. It's a process getting there, and it's a continual process. I think a continual learning and growing process. But when we can trust it and tune into it, wow, the stuff that can come from that, the connections that can happen, the things we can create, the things we can manifest, it's all real. It's all there. And it's something that belongs to all of us, and that's the thing. I think people, whether it's the upbringing, the powers that be trying to manipulate and control, if people can just let that go, start tuning in to that inner voice, like you were talking about earlier, Jack, God is present within all of us, and again, you talked about like Jesus. Jesus was outskirts, the church is who crucified Jesus. And it's funny. I think it's all coming full circle. And I think because there's people like you, Jack, because there's people like you, Heather, like you, Mary, and like me, we're bringing this information to the surface. We're talking about it in I think a real evidential, no nonsense way. We want to get to the bottom. We want to get to the foundation and the fundamentals of this and show people there is something real and true to this. And it's something that's present within all of us. So first off, Jack, I want to thank you for being here. What you have going on is fabulous. We are definitely going to put all of your information, Jack, in our social media. We will have links to any of the documentaries you've done, your social media. And I think anyone that wants to look at this and really try to see it from like an evidential way that's been scrutinized, and look at all aspects and really try to get to the bottom. Like, what's the truth? Let's unravel this. Well, you have to check out Jack and what he's doing, because he's that guy that's unraveling things and unraveling some of the nonsense, some of the gray area, and getting to the truth. Heather, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
I have one more question for Heather. A quick question.
Absolutely.
Quick question. It just came to me, so I was sent this information. Heather, Heather, have you recently, or is there any? We've spoken about this before. A famous individual or someone that can offer any information that you're allowed to say about what's going on right now? Anything?
I don't have. Are you talking about in spirit?
In spirit. But remember we talked and I said the one time, I think it was Abraham Lincoln. Is there anybody who wants to give us any kind of input about what's going on right now? Because there is so much disclosure just in the last week.
Let's see if someone will come down and share some knowledge.
Okay.
So I would say, would you like to tap into your collective, the collective energy, and bring through a message for us, for our audience, and anyone that may be listening?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I just kind of want to go back to what Jack was saying earlier, because I think that is very important, is to treat each other with kindness, to treat each other with love, to drop your ego. It's not all about us. It's about other people and the way that their life is on earth as well. You want to make it as comfortable for them as it is for you. Always go by the golden rule. I think that's very important.
Suzanne says, my life-changing experience has taught me so much, and who has stayed and has come into my life. An amazing show. Thank you, Jack and Heather. You were so helpful. Heart.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for that. So Heather and Jack. So let's talk a little bit about, before we close this out, because again, I feel like we could keep this conversation going for a while, but we're not going to keep you here all night. But what is on the horizon for the both of you? Is there a new project where you're bringing and combining both of your skill sets? Like, what can we talk a little bit about? That's not going to be a surprise, that we're not going to spoil anything that's brewing under the surface. But what does Jack and Heather have in store for us and everyone else out there that's intrigued by what we're doing?
Heather and I, we talk about this all the time, and we keep going back and forth. It's like, we were thinking about maybe doing something I used to do, is to bring groups of people to locations, but do it with Heather. And like, let's say, for example, go to Gettysburg for a weekend, and we'll set up the whole weekend. We do different things. That's something that I've done before. But it's all revolves around the paranormal. So, and having Heather there as the psychic, and what winds up happening, usually 2 or 3 more psychics wound up coming because they sign up for the event. So now you have 3 or 4 that are with everyone. And we just thought, because of all the direct communication that Heather has now with certain people, especially with certain people, it would be hilarious. It would be so much fun. It would be really entertaining for people, and it would be educational. On my end, I would try to make it educational. So we've talked, it's like, do we want to do, and it's, we always go back and, right, Heather, it's kind of like, do we want to do that? And then, like, at this point in my life, I'm like, oh, I just want to show up. I don't want to do all the planning. So we have all this, but we also, like I mentioned, my partner, John Sumple, the guy who was on here for a while, and he was the director of the documentaries, and we've moved into feature length films, narratives. So we've been writing scripts, and like I say, Heather's involved in the first one. She'll be involved in one way or the other in all of them, but the story isn't necessarily ET related specifically. They're different genres. The first one's a Western, but every one of them is about connection, human connection, soul connection. So we're trying to spread that message, and it's of what's possible and what it means to be human. Because what does it mean to be human? Because we have our connections to family and then friends, and then we meet these people that could be in our lives for 15 minutes, but they make a profound impact. Well, what is that? So it's the idea of going through life, and again, understanding and recognizing these synchronicities and what that can mean. So these films, every one of the films, even though they're different genres, are all about that kind of soul connections. There's soul groups. There's different stuff going on. So we're going to continue to do that. We're also working on a pre-production on another documentary that's UFO related, and we'll talk about that more in another show, because right now we're keeping it a little under wraps, but it is a kind of important one. But Heather and I, we're going to do something eventually. Heather, what do you think? It's getting Heather just like, she's so chill about this. It's like,
I'm bringing it up because it's there. The energy's there. What's funny, Jack, I have to say, as soon as you said what does it mean to be human? I almost feel like I saw like this series that you two were creating, it was just, series 1, 2, 3, 4. It was almost like this whole episode of National Geographic, and each one took you on a little bit of a different journey, but it was all different aspects of what does it mean to be human. It's funny you said that. I don't know. There could be something there.
That's very cool. There. That's very cool. Yeah, we'll have to see. We got to get Heather motivated. But yeah, she's chill. She's chill girl, man. She's
busy doing readings. She
can take or leave her gifts. She's like, it's all good.
Oh, please, come on.
Jack. All right. So Jack, when you were talking before, someone was talking. I don't know who, and I just was tuning in. And you know what this is? This show has been so intense for me. I mean, not only because I have no air conditioning, I'm drinking a ton of water, but because I can't, because I'm scared I'm going to lose power. Because all day it was flickering. I live in this house, and the electrical is like from a million years ago. So I'm scared.
Oh, you guys have the heat wave.
Yeah,
we do. Yes,
105 degrees today. So anyway,
Mary is broadcasting from 100 degrees.
Yeah, it's like 100 degrees.
You're in the abyss. That is dedication. My co-host is
I would have passed out a long time ago.
No. So I love the heat. So I just saw us on this piece of farm equipment on a farm, you and you were driving. And I don't know when it was, but I saw that. And I was like, what is this? This is weird.
Who? You and Heather?
No, you and me on a piece of farm equipment, and you were driving this tractor. I have no idea what that was.
Was I like in period dress?
I didn't look at it long enough. I was like, this is weird. I need to be focused on the show. And I just wrote it down.
That is so funny.
Were you guys mowing my grass?
What?
I asked, were you guys mowing my grass? I'm just so chilled about it.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Tuning into some past life energy there,
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Wait, do you have a farm?
No, but I could if I wanted to.
Well, anyway, we were on this piece of farm equipment, and you were like, blah, 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 driving this. I don't know what that was. I just, pardon me?
I said, I can totally see that.
Green acres, John says. Green acres. That's funny.
I think it's awesome because you guys together. Oh yeah, we have more comments. Thank you. I was available, tuned in, and so glad I did. Chill. Happy sign. Green acre. Okay.
All right. So Mary, I just have to add, you're not tuning into like you and John having to create like a homestead because of like an alien invasion or anything, right? You're not like forewarning us of anything, right? I need to plant some crops and some more blueberry bushes in my backyard. What's going on? I do have chickens.
I don't know what that. I think it was personally. If you would ask, it was past life. So I don't know because I have a connection with Jack. I definitely have a connection with Jack. It was like a friendly thing, though. It wasn't like partner thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like we were friends hanging out because we do have I do have an instant before we even really talked because I'm drawn to certain people. Because I don't clutter my life with individuals that are like small talk. It's so clear. It's like that person or like my boyfriend knows. He's like knows who everybody is because there's not that many.
Right.
I'm very specific. So he knows the individuals. But with Jack, I knew we had him on the show. I was drawn to his documentaries. We had you on way back when. I don't know when that was, over a year ago. And then we've spoken, and then I've met Heather, and I just have this friendship thing where I just feel like 1,000,000% I would trust him with my life. 1,000,000% he's completely honest and will tell you how it is. He's not like there's no fake. It's just real. So,
and it's interesting, Jack, speaking about like soul groups and soul connections, because you and I, Mary, we both believe that there are soul connections. People can live past lives together and manifest and find each other in this reality to create, or, there may be something that unfinished business that we still need to build upon, create, help humanity, whatever that may be. And exactly like you were talking about before, Jack, is when we could tune into that and we can acknowledge that for what it is. some really, really magical stuff can come from that. And it's interesting because, I mean, if you're thinking about just the creative energy that different people can, you know, we combine energy, you know, and I think of like I'm dating myself a little bit to the Beatles because, you know, I had an uncle that was a huge, huge Beatles fan. And as I started listening to them, I was like, oh, Paul McCartney, you know, and John Lennon and the stuff they created together. And you had all, you know, on their own, they were good, but the stuff they created together was pretty magical. And I think we're seeing a lot of that happen, you know, and you speak about, you know, Jack, you and Heather coming together. So I do believe you two are meant to create something together and put it out there that it'll take on its own life and its own energy. But I do believe it's there. And I do believe it'll be something special, you know, just like Mary and I coming together for this podcast. I do believe, you know, there were forces behind this that pulled it together when there were moments where you question it or you're not sure, or some chaotic things may try to sidetrack it, but you're like, you know what? If you could persevere through that and you could see the final outcome or the potential of a final outcome, really special stuff can come from that. So that's what I see for the two of you. I do believe there's a really, really cool creative endeavor that can unfold where you both bring your own unique talent to it.
So I just saw something when he was talking. So I saw like a, you know how there's a tornado and it has the vortex in the middle? Yeah. This isn't negative, but it's very powerful. Like it's moving around, but it's spinning at the same time. And you guys are inside of it. So you guys are going to create, you guys are creators together. And whether Heather, like I think unconsciously or consciously can manifest. She can think of things and then she can make it can happen. There's like one of the abilities is that, because, you know, who knows, moving forward, when everything escalates, you might take on some of these ET's abilities. Like you might land in someone's back seat somewhere. or a truck. What?
That's an order. It better not be my car. I don't want to be driving and look back and there's Heather.
Me going, hi.
I'll get in a car accident. That won't be good.
You guys are funny. You guys are so funny. So how can everyone reach you and get a reading? A Merkaba, right, Diana? Ancient vehicle, ancient light vehicle. So how, Heather, tell us how everyone can reach you or reach out to you, and do you do readings?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to reach out, they can like look at my Facebook, Heather Besser. It's a heart. It's a black heart picture. I changed it, so now
I know I saw that.
but yeah, or they can, you know, reach out to you or Jack or anyone, or just say, you know, dance in the rain with some rice in their right hand, and I'll be there.
Okay. Okay. And what about you, Jack?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, JackRothAuthor.com, www.JackRothAuthor.com. That's where you can find all my stuff, books, the work I've done. And then the documentaries right now, the first two, the Stan Romanek story and the Seeding, are on Tubi. So they are available on Tubi. You know, with streaming now, it's always changing. So right now, the first two are on Tubi. The third it's being distributed, and I will get that information as soon as, because it was distributed, and then it'll probably wind up on Tubi, but it might wind up in a couple places first and then on Tubi. It's really hard to keep track these days with all the streaming services. So, but I would look them up, and then, you know, you could type it into your smart TV or whatever, and then it'll show where it's playing. So where you can see it. But yeah, that's the best way to get in touch.
Thank you so much. This has been lovely.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you both. Thank you so much, Jack. Thank you so much, Heather. I appreciate it. And thank you for bringing through some messages and some information. And I know I saw Deanna in there again, thanking you for bringing through message for her. So very, very cool. But yeah, anyone out there.
$5 reward to whoever can use their psychic abilities to guess the word I just said out loud. Come on with that.
Do you
How
know?
do we get the $5?
There you go.
Get
Right.
charged too
We'll
much
put the
for that.
winning lottery number. So you have to like and share Two
Thank you
Psychics
so much,
podcast
honey.
Facebook page,
Love
and we'll
that.
message you next week's lottery number.
Okay.
You have to like and share. You have to like and share our page, like and follow. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you so much, Jack. Anyone out there listening to Two Psychics podcast, we will have Heather Besser. If you want to reach out to her for a reading, check out any stuff she's doing. We will have her information linked in all of our stuff. We will also have Jack Roth and any information on the documentaries he's done, anything that he's doing, anything that is coming up. And if you want to check out potential of Heather and Jack working together, like and follow both of their social media pages and stay in the tune. But both of you, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time here. I feel like we could go for a couple hours, but that we're gonna just have to have you back on. You know, we'll have to schedule that one.
We appreciate it.
Thank
You
you
guys
so
are
much for
great.
being
We
here.
really
Really
enjoy
appreciate
it.
both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You're awesome.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
You guys. Hey,
Woo, going. I feel like we could. I feel like we could have just.
they're awesome, aren't
We
they?
get into the flow. That's
So
what it is.
awesome.
Like I'm looking and I'm like, wow, we've almost been going 2 hours. It just does not seem like 2 hours. But anyone out there
No,
that is
it hasn't been
interested
2
in
hours.
what Heather
It's
or
an hour and a
Jack
half. Don't rush my
doing.
life. An hour
Yes,
and a half.
will.
Hour and a half. Okay, so everybody out there, thank you so much. Today was, and you know what was so funny is that you were saying, oh, and it brought us together. We're at episode 96 today.
Isn't that
So
crazy?
we have
96.
episodes. So next,
We are
we have
almost
July
at
9th.
800.
I know. I don't know who
Yes.
that's going to be. So
We'll have to see. We're gonna have to see where that lines up. But we plan on doing a cool bash, like 100 episode bash. We want to include all of you in it. It is going to be fun. We are brainstorming. If you have a cool idea of something we could add into our 100th episode show, let us know. We will definitely be doing readings. We are definitely going to try to get a lot of our awesome and cool guests that we have had over the years on that 100th episode, but we will be brainstorming it, and I'm excited.
I'm hot. Okay. So Debbie Dackinger, who's an ET, back to ETs, ET contactee and a galactic shaman. She will be on next Thursday. The show is Eastern Standard Time at 7:30. The guest comes on at 8. That's how we usually do it. Then July 16th, we have Kevin Young, who's an intuitive coach and telepathic connector. And I just booked Lee Allen, and he's a ghost hunter, paranormal investigator. He's been on A&E, TLC, Destination, and he does a couple of different paranormal investigations. So he's been doing it a while. And again, we have our live show, July 29th at Pelham Rails in Pelham, New York. And Michael, we're going to have to get together and practice for that. Sorry, I'm coming down the Jersey Shore before the end of the month. So if you want to reach Michael Edley and get a reading or find his material, you can also get his CD.
Ooh, yes.
Okay, Divine
Journey of a
Journey of a
Soul.
Mystic Soul. You can buy my books. I have this little prophecy book, The White Light Prophecies, and some other books on Amazon. You can find me, MaryAmyOfficial.com, Michael Edley. I also give readings. I'm a holistic coach, spiritual coach, psychic reader, and IVeTheSpirits.com. And this was a great show tonight, and I'm grateful, Michael, for you doing this with me 96 times. Thank you so much.
Yes, 96
Awesome.
times. And a big shout out to our fabulous guests that we had tonight. Thank you to everyone who was listening. If you have not liked and followed Two Psychics Podcast, make sure you do that and share it. Let everyone you know tune into such a cool podcast for such unique and interesting guests, topics, and subject matter.
Thank you so much, everyone. Please like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube and our Facebook page. Thank you so much from Two Psychics Podcast. Bye on episode 96, July 2nd. Bye, Mike. See you. Bye.
Peace out.